Let's go back now to education as millions of pupils return to classrooms in England and Wales amid fears of a spike in the number of students with COVID. We're speaking to two head teachers of primary schools to find out their plans for the new academic year, the challenges they face in terms of catch-up plans and the mental health of students and teachers. So I'm joined by Simon Kidwell, who's the head teacher at Hartford Manor Primary in Cheshire. And I'm also joined by Emma Meadus, who is a head teacher at Coppice Valley Primary in Harrogate. Good afternoon to you both, and thank you both very much for joining us on BBC News on a big day, first day of term, although I think, Emma, it was a teacher training day for you, wasn't it, today? But, you know, a big day nonetheless. I wonder if we could just start with my asking you, what is the biggest issue facing you, given the year, 18 months that we've had? Simon first.
I think the biggest issue is the unknown, because we know that rates are far higher in the community than this time last year, up to 27 times higher. And we also have now the more transmissible Delta variant. And we saw the disruption that happened towards the end of term, where over 1 million children were missing their education at the end of July. So it's the unknown. We're planning, we're hoping for the best, but planning for the worst.
Emma?
I think I'd echo what Simon's just said, but also the curriculum, of course, and how we're going to recover and catch up.
Well, do you want to expand on that? I mean, what sort of challenge is that going to be?
It's an ongoing challenge. It's something that we've been working on, of course, since we came back to schools after the first lockdown, but then, of course, was complicated by the second lockdown. And it's not something that's a quick fix. We've got to keep working at it, and will be for some time ahead. So we're looking at the content of the curriculum, and then how we can deliver additional teaching and interventions for our children that need it.
Simon, is that an issue for you as well? And are some children significantly more impacted by the loss of learning than others?
Yes, absolutely. We brought the children back in, and we saw back in March that some children had really been impacted. But we did get more children in during lockdown too, up to 41% of our pupils. So we really targeted those vulnerable pupils. But what we've noticed, our school started back with the children on Thursday, and already we're seeing the speech and language of our youngest children, because we have a nursery at Hartford Manor where we have 3-year-olds, and we're noticing some of the gaps in speech and language. So that's where we'll be targeting our resources. And of course, the funding that was given wasn't what the Recovery Commissioner, Sir Kevin Collins, asked for. So we are trying to prioritise where we spend that money.
And what does that mean when you say you're trying to prioritise it? Does it mean that some children will get the help they need and others won't?
Well, we're getting about £50 per child over the 2 years, so that's not a great deal. So if we just spent that on every child, that wouldn't go very far. So we do need to target where the most need is. And actually, we're finding that the children who are already disadvantaged, the gap has got wider, and that's a gap which has been seen nationally, not just at our school.
Emma, some of the restrictions that schools have been under are being lifted with this new term, and specifically when it comes to primary school, bubbles are no longer required. Is that something that you welcome or not?
Yes, we do welcome it, because it really has made an impact on what we can and we can't do. Of course, having said that, we do go about things with caution and approach things quite gingerly as regards to going back to normal, because it isn't really normal. We have to be really careful still. So although it's great that we don't have to have bubbles, we're still putting a lot of effort into things like hygiene and ventilation.
You've both talked about the loss of learning and catch-up, but the other thing that we know is that young people have been very affected by the wider consequences of lockdown, of social isolation, loneliness and so on. Simon, how important is addressing the children's mental health?
It's vitally important, and we noticed last September, when children returned from being off school since March, that children weren't playing as well together, and the more children falling out. So we've invested an awful lot back in after lockdown too, in making sure we supported children with their play, additional adults out at playtime, more space at playtime as well, because it wasn't just their mental health which had suffered, it was their physical health. Children had all their sports clubs cancelled for 12 months, so we put extra resource into that. So to primary primary school, it's very much about investing in play and giving time within the school day for children to play together, and also to make sure those after school clubs are starting again, because they've been disrupted throughout the last 18 months.
Emma?
Mental health's always been a priority here at Coppice Valley, but we have had to extend our offer since the pandemic. So we have a full-time person, a pastoral worker who works with the children and their family supporting mental health now. And that's been something that we've even found just that alone is stretched, as the local services are stretched. So it's something that continues to be a priority, but also a challenge.
And can I just ask you both finally, how are the staff feeling about just about returning to school, about the lifting of restrictions, about the task ahead? Simon first.
We had a really good training day last Wednesday. Staff are feeling really positive. It's good to have some of those restrictions lifted. However, there's also that kind of cautious optimism amongst the staff, because we know we've got to live with COVID, but that's not the same as pretending it's not there. So it's always being mindful, making sure staff don't catch it, because if we get multiple staff catching COVID in the first few weeks, that's going to cause more disruption to our school.
Emma?
Yeah, the staff they're very excited about seeing the children, because tomorrow's our first day. We've had training today and we've looked at our COVID risk assessment today. So the staff know now that they can do more and be more flexible in how they're teaching the children, as in small group work and moving around. And that's really welcome. But as Simon said, it is always with care and caution that we are maintaining the guidance the government's given us.
OK, well, very good luck to you for the rest of the school term, and thank you so much for talking to us, both of you. So that's Emma Meadus and Simon Kidwell. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a look now at